All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So what we're actually going to cover on this specific call today, we're going to talk about creating your email messages. We'll talk about how you can structure the folders that you see there on within the Marketing Cloud platform. We'll talk about creating templates and working with templates, how to actually create your emails. We'll talk about how you can quickly preview your messages and actually send your messages. When you're sending your messages, you're going to be using reports to segment the contacts that you want to link those messages to. So you'll basically create reports within the MemberNation platform, and then you will send out your messages to that specific report group. We'll talk about send classifications, which are ways that you can designate the type of message that you're sending out in order to basically look at the preferences and privacy requirements of your recipients so that you're sending them to the correct groups there. We'll talk a bit about subscriber management that you can do on through MemberNation, and then we'll talk about email tracking and analytics. And then at the end, like I said, we'll talk about what next steps you can take if you're interested in sort of proceeding with getting onboarded to MemberNation. All right. So working in Marketing Cloud in order to create your messages. There are currently two separate locations where you have to go to both send your messages and then to create your messages and then send them out. So right now, as I said, there are two separate links, and we're hoping to sort of integrate those going forward so that it's a little more of a streamlined process. But as of right now, you will go into the Marketing Cloud interface, which is basically a Salesforce app, to create your messages. And when you're creating those messages, you can do one of two different things. You can either work from a full template, and those can either be templates that we've created for you, or you can actually create your own templates and then base your emails on those. One bit of feedback that we would definitely like to receive from societies, and you can feel free to send these again into societytech@cfainstitute.org. We'd like to hear from societies what types of templates would be helpful for them. What templates do they currently use? Anything where we would be able to basically create those templates for you and put them into MemberNation to make it easier for you to send those out. We would be happy to take that feedback and work on creating those. And then we are going to cover how you actually add your content to your messages, and then also how you can actually save your emails as a template in order to use an email that you've created and you repeat it going forward to make that process a little more streamlined. So let's go ahead and take a look at the platform itself. So this is the Marketing Cloud dashboard. And again, this is a Salesforce app that you would access separately here. If you can hear that, disregard the testing, the testing noise in the background. Okay. So when you first log into Marketing Cloud, what you'll want to do is you'll want to go into the email studio and then the email link here. And then your content tab. And then you're going to want to work in the classic content builder. This is the section that will be linked to the actual MemberNation email send process. So when you're ready to actually create your email, again, as I was saying, you have a variety of different types of messages that you can create. But the one that we would recommend that would be the easiest to work with is your template-based messaging. click that option, then the next thing that you'll want to do is you will want to select the template that you want to base your email on. So again, this is where if we had created a template on your behalf, or if you had a template that you had created yourself, you would go in and you would select the template that you want to work with. And as you click on the different templates, you'll be able to see a preview down below of what the template looks like. So you can make sure you're selecting the one that you want to work with. Next, you're going to give your email a name. So in this example, we'll just call this April newsletter. Then you would want to enter the actual subject line for your message. So this is the subject line that will appear on the email itself. The pre-header is an optional field that you can use as sort of a call to action or sort of an attention grabber as part of your message. So that's how you can, that's how that can be used. Again, it's an optional field. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You would then decide where you want to actually save your message, which folder you want to save it in. Once you've made all of those selections, you would save your message. And it's going to bring up basically the template that you are working with. And thanks go to the Minnesota Society for letting us nab some of their newsletter content to work on some of these templates. So you can see this is, again, the backbone of the template that we are working with. And again, if the template contains all of the information that you want to use just the way that it is, then you could just consider this complete and then you could get ready to send it. But chances are you're going to want to modify that template slightly. So you can either modify content blocks that are already here, or you can add new ones. So if you want to modify a content block that's already there, you would just click on it, and you can see that you can actually clear content. So if you decided you didn't want any of the content that's in that section, you could remove it entirely, or you can modify content. You also have the ability to store content in your library. So if you want to basically save that component to reuse later, then you can use that option there. Want to modify content, then it's going to bring up a window with that content in it, and then you can make changes as needed. Similarly, if you want to just add a brand new component with content in it, you would again click there. And in this case, you have the option to either retrieve content or create new content. So again, these content blocks that you can save to your library, you could retrieve them from by using this option. You can see that it would bring up different folders where you can browse through to find the content that you've saved in order to insert that content into that content block. Or if you want to just create brand new content, the standard option here is the content option. And here you have a variety of different orientations that you can choose depending on the type of content that you're wanting to add. So if you are wanting to add just text, you can choose that option. If you have just a single image that you want to put into that content block, you can choose that. Or you have a variety of different image orientations where you have, the image in one location and the text elsewhere and in different configurations. You do have the ability to insert HTML code. So if you have a block of code that you want to add in that section, you can do that. Or you can use the freeform option here. I'm going to go ahead and choose that one just because it has the greatest variety of different things that you can do within that block. You can see that you have the ability to, select different fonts, different font sizes, font colors. You have all of the standard formatting options there. You can also insert a table if you want to do that to sort of structure a variety of images in a sort of uniform way. You can do that. You have the ability to add a Facebook like button so that somebody clicking on that message or that button within your message would be able to post content to their own Facebook feed. You can add links, all of that sort of stuff. And again, you can also, from the Insert tab, you can select your horizontal lines, you can insert images, symbols, all of that sort of stuff. You also have the ability to add personalized content here. So if you want to have a content block that, is personalized for the recipients, you could insert, their first name and last name. You can reference certain fields like their charter award date. So if you wanted to send a congratulatory message and reference that charter award date, you could do that as well. So once you have major changes to the content block, you have the ability to use a quick preview of that block to see what it looks like the way you've set it up currently. And then you can click Save. All right. Anytime you save one of the content blocks, that will automatically save all of the components of that email. So there's not a general save button on that interface itself. Okay. We've had a few questions come in. One is about where you create folders. So here within the folder structure on the left-hand side, you can see that you are able to have folders for emails, templates, portfolio, which is going to be things like your logos, images of your speakers, all of those sorts of things would fall into the portfolio section. Contents, again, this is where if you've saved those content blocks, those will show up here and can be accessed. And you also have all of those same types of content, but within a shared item folder. So if you move things into the shared items, those will be shared across your basically across the platform there. So if you want to revise the structure here, add new folders, all you have to do is right-click on one of the folders where you want to add a new folder, and you can just click New Folder, give your new folder a name, and then you can, except apparently not that particular name, give your folder an acceptable name, and it will add that for you. And then you also have the ability to, as you can see here, you can move things from one folder to another. So, for example, if you decided you wanted to move that new folder that I've created, you could click the button here. You could either copy it to a new folder if you wanted a copy in both places. You can just move it if you wanted to move it from one location directly to another. So you have those different options. And we also had a question about the formatting options. It depends on the type of block that you're using. So, for example, if you're working with an HTML, one of those HTML content blocks, that's not something that you would be able to add all of the same sorts of formatting to, just because of the nature of that, because basically all it's going to accept is HTML code there. So, okay. So, now that we've created our message, let's go ahead back to our presentation. Okay. And so now to talk a little bit about templates. So as I've said, we can either create templates for you, and again, we would welcome feedback on the types of templates that would be helpful. Or you can also either create your own template from scratch, or as noted here, you can actually save your email as a template. So let me show you what that looks like. So here, this is the message or the email that we just created. So if I go back into that message, you see that you have this option to actually save that message as a template. So if you click that option, you would give your template a name here. You would choose where you want to save that template, and it's going to give you a preview of what the new template would look like based on the original email that you started from. You also have the ability to define some different features of the various components of your template. So you can decide that, okay, I want to make a template based on this email, but I don't actually want this particular component to show up in the new template. So you can empty out some of those blocks if you'd like. You can fix certain blocks in place. So if you want one block of content to be fixed to where it's not editable as part of the new template, you can do that as well. Or by default, all of the blocks are editable. So again, once you have done that, you can click save, and then you would be able to find that as one of the templates to base later emails on. And again, you can also start from scratch if you want to. So you can actually just click create to start working on a brand new template. In this case, now you would give your template a name, again, decide where you want to save it. And you have two different options here. You can use the template editor, or if you just have HTML content that you want to paste in directly, you can choose that option as well. You can click save, and then it gives you some different options. You have the ability to add a banner to the top if you would like. You can either create a banner, or once you have created some different banners, or if there's a banner that we've created for you, you can just retrieve that banner to automatically insert it here. You have some different settings that you can determine for that banner. Border, if you want to have a border, if you want that border to have a particular color, if you want a specific background color, all of those different options. And then you can actually choose the layout that you want to use. You can see that this particular layout has sort of a long left column, a bottom section, and then two different right content components there. You can change that layout to a variety of different options here that you can see, depending on how much content you're wanting to include there. For all of these layouts, anytime you have a blank content piece, the rest of your email will basically expand to fill out the blank space. So you don't have to worry about having just a big gap in your message if you choose one of these layouts that has a variety of different components there. So that's basically how you would create a template from scratch. And then again, anytime you've created a template, you would be able to choose that when creating your next email. Okay. So the next thing that you have the option to do, you have a couple of different things that you can do when finalizing your message, just to make sure that everything is going to work correctly. There are a couple of different buttons that you can click. One is the content detective button. And what that does is it will look through your message, and it will look for any content that you have included that could be flagged as spam. And then the second option that you have is the validation option. What that basically does is it goes through and makes sure that all the required components are included in that message. Pretty much anytime you're working from a template, all of those required components should be included there. So things like the unsubscribe options and stuff like that will be included automatically as part of those templates. So to make those options, if we go back to our email that we created, you can see here's the content detective button. So if we click that, it's going to scan through the message and let you know whether or not your email is able to be delivered. And you also have the validate option. So if we click that, you're going to indicate that you are going to be sending this to a list of subscribers, since you'll be linking that to one of your reports. You can click validate. And again, it's going to scan through your message and let you know if there are any missing components. So once you've done all that, once your email is ready, then you are ready to actually send it. So at that point then, I'll go back to the MemberNation interface. And again, as we've mentioned, we are working on making this a more streamlined process so that it's easier to get to the Marketing Cloud interface itself through MemberNation. So that was another question that we had, was why are they not in there together? And that's a question that we have as well and are working on. So and once that's available and all in the same location, we'll definitely be able to update our training materials at that point. So within MemberNation itself, you'll have a Marketing Cloud app or object here at the top. So once you click that, you'll be able to see the interface that's available for actually sending those messages. And as we've been mentioning, your messages that you're going to be sending out will be linked to a specific report. So this is not intended to be a reporting class, although that is something that we will be offering in the future. But as far as reporting goes, we would, again, welcome feedback from you on what types of reports would be helpful for you. You know, if you have a specific target group that you're going to want to be sending your messages out to, we would be happy to help you make sure that you have those target reports available and ready for you to send your messages to. But when you're ready to send your message, you would go in and click Find. You pull up that email that you created. And I'm actually going to link to one, not our brand new one, but a training version that I created. You have the, and then you're going to go ahead and I should point out that here is the subject line that you had selected when you created your email. Next, you're going to select the report that you want to use as your recipient base for your message. So we're going to click the Add button, and you would basically be able to see all of the reports that you have access to. For our purposes here, I'm going to select just a test report that I created so that I can send a message just to myself. Once you've done that, you have some different options that you can choose down below. If you want to basically save not only your email that you sent, but also if you want to essentially save a version that links to those recipients, so your report list, you can do that by selecting this button. Then down below, this is where if your society has multiple email addresses set up as part of the onboarding process, you could choose basically the email address that you want the message to come out from. And then this is where you would choose your send classification. So the two different send classifications here are default commercial and default transactional. Almost all of your messages are going to be default commercial. This would be anything for events, if you have a prep course that you're offering, anything like that would be that default commercial classification. The other type, the default transactional, this is reserved strictly for things that are related to membership. So something like if you were sending out a membership dues notice or something like that, then in that case, you could choose the default transactional. What that basically does is, depending on which of those classifications you choose, will determine what types of restrictions an individual, basically which individuals will be excluded from your message send. So if an individual has said, I don't want to be contacted by email, I don't want to be contacted, about a variety of different topics, those individuals would be excluded as long as you're choosing the default commercial option there. But if an individual is a member of your society, then they're not able to opt out of receiving membership communication, since that's, part of the requirements of being a member is to pay dues and things like that. So we'll make that choice here. Here you would select this button, although it's checked by default, to dedupe your subscriber. So if an individual happens to pull onto your report multiple times, then this would exclude them from receiving multiple messages, as they would just receive the email once. You have the ability to disable individual level tracking. So if for some reason you don't want to track each individual's response or whether or not they received your message, you can check this box. You can then also decide whether you want to send your message immediately or if you want to schedule it for the future. So you have that option there. And then the last thing that you have to do is you have to basically certify that everyone who is going to be receiving this message has basically opted in to receive messages. So again, this is where your classifications come in handy, because obviously if you've chosen commercial, then anybody who has already opted out will be excluded from receiving that message. And then once you've made those choices there, then you would just click the send button. Okay. That's finishing sending. Again, that talks about the actual sending process. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about is subscriber management. So any of the messages, as I was saying, that come out based on a template are going to automatically have opt-out information at the bottom of the message. You can see what the unsubscribe information looks like here. The individual receiving the message would be able to click on the unsubscribe button and proceed through basically opting out of your messages. If you're working with an HTML paste email, then there's some code that can be provided so that you can include that unsubscribe information in that HTML code. You also have the ability as a society to manually opt out individuals. So if somebody were to call you and say, I've received your message and I don't want to receive emails about this topic, then you can go in and manually unsubscribe them. And I'll show you what that process looks like. So for example, if I look at my own record here, for all of your contact records, once you've onboarded onto the email marketing component, for all of your contacts, you will see a communication preferences related list as part of their contact record. And you'll be able to see their communication preference link down below. So if I click on that, this is where I could go to unsubscribe that person. You would basically get a confirmation screen saying, are you sure you want to unsubscribe this person from future communications? You would approve that, and then they wouldn't, as long as you're using that commercial classification, then those individuals would not receive those communications going forward. You would then, if the individual was unsubscribed, you would have the ability to resubscribe them then if you wanted to as well. So the next thing we wanted to talk about is email tracking and analysis. So within MemberNation, once you've sent a message, you're able to see some additional information on the success of your message being sent. You can, again, access each individual message that you've sent out. You can analyze those results by seeing the send status, more details just about the message. You can also then track those messages to see how many of them were sent, how many were delivered, how many individuals actually opened the message and clicked on the links in there. And you can, again, also view the individual email results for any specific contact who received that message. So let me just show you a little bit what that looks like. So again, once you've onboarded to the email marketing part of MemberNation, you would not only have your Marketing Cloud section here, but you would also have a link to all of the emails that you've sent. So you can see my list here, and you would then just need to drill into any of those messages that you had sent out in order to see the results. So I'm going to click on this one from last week. So here, once you've drilled into that email send information, you can see, just some details about the message that you sent, the date that email was sent. You can see some of the different criteria that you set on that message. You can see what email it came out from. And then as you scroll down, you can see tracking info for that message. This is just a preview. So if you want to make sure you're looking at the right email that you sent out. You can see that. You can see the total number of messages that, or the total number of recipients that it was sent to. Obviously, this one I just sent to myself. You can see the date that it was sent. And then as you scroll down further, you can see just more details about the performance of that message. You can see how many messages were actually delivered, how many, if this was a larger group of recipients, you would be able to see more information about any messages that bounced, what type of bounce that was. You can see how many individuals actually opened the message, how many clicked on the message, if the individual, if any of the recipients forwarded that message onto someone else, you'll be able to see that. You can also see the open rates. And then you also have specific email results for all of those different categories. So if you want to see a list of all of the individuals who were sent the message, a list of all the individuals who actually opened the message, you can do that as well. And then at the bottom here, you can see, again, your individual email results, unless you check that box where you did not want to track those individual results. So here you can see a list of all of the recipients for that message, and you can see specific details on whether the individual actually opened the message, whether the message bounced, and then you can easily drill into that person's contact record here. So if you're looking at your full list and you want to go in and actually see the communication preferences for that specific individual, you can easily drill through to the communication preferences there. Okay. So that is our, again, quick high-level overview of the email marketing tool. So what is next for societies who want more information? We do have training materials available on the Society Center. Again, like I said, we'll also be adding this PowerPoint presentation there, as well as the recording of this call. And I wanted to show you exactly where that information will be housed, just so that you're able to easily find it. So within the Society Center, we have a MemberNation section here. And under the MemberNation section, if you go to the train page here, then you can see all of the different training materials for, first at the top, we've got event management, and then down below we have email marketing. So you could certainly review these to get more details on exactly how these different processes work. You also also here on the main MemberNation page, you can click on the link to view all of the monthly videos. So again, this recording will be posted there as well. Once you've had a chance to review those materials, if a society is interested in actually onboarding to the email marketing component, there are a couple of different categories that your society might fall into. We have some societies that are currently in communication with the onboarding lead. So they're in the process of onboarding already for the event management piece. So if you're one of those societies, you would just need to notify your onboarding lead that you're also interested in onboarding into email marketing. So then your onboarding lead would be able to gather the components and information that they need from you in order to get you set up with email marketing. And then, so basically would be able to be onboarded for both event management and email marketing at the same time. And similarly, you would then be able to go through training for both event management and email marketing at the same time. So that's the point at which we would give you the more detailed training steps. For all other societies, if you're interested, again, in getting onto the email marketing tool, then you would just need to email us at Society Tech for further details, and we can get you more information at that point about a potential time frame for onboarding. So the all other societies group in this case could be those societies that are already using event management. It could be societies who have started the onboarding, or who basically have completed the onboarding process for event management and have been moved over to the training phase, but have so they're sort of in the middle there. So for that group, again, you would just need to email Society Tech so that we know that you're interested in getting onto the email marketing piece as well. And then if you are not yet in communication with an onboarding lead, but you're interested in email marketing, then again, just email Society Tech and we can start working on that process for you. And you don't necessarily have to onboard to event management if you're not interested in that piece in order to onboard to email marketing. So, whether or not you're interested in event management, if you are interested in email marketing, and you're not already in the process of talking with an onboarding lead, then you could email Society Tech and we will work with you to get you going on the next steps there. Okay, so that is the main point of the presentation here. So let me unmute everyone. Okay, so I've now unmuted everyone. So if you don't have an immediate question, you might want to mute yourself individually. I know we're getting a lot of background noise there. Okay, so still getting a little bit of feedback there. So I don't know if you want to individually mute yourself. Okay, looks like that resolved itself. Maybe. Okay. Now I think we're good. So I know we've had a few questions come in, but I'm also happy to take any questions that you may have. Like I said, we may not have immediate answers for everything, but we'll make note of them and get back to you with more information. Also, if you don't have questions and would like to drop off at this point, you're welcome to do that as well. I do want to thank everybody who has participated today, and we look forward to working with societies to launch the email marketing tool for you. All right, so let me take a look at some of the questions that have already come in. Okay, so one question that we had was, are the emails optimized for mobile by default? Sorry, let me do a little bit of muting here. Okay. Okay. There are some of the layouts that you saw when we were creating our templates. Some of those layouts are optimized for mobile. So you would want to choose, best practice would be to choose one of those layouts that is optimized for mobile. Others are not optimized for mobile, and we would probably recommend not choosing those particular layouts. And when you're choosing your layouts, basically there's a list of different layouts, and the first section of them indicate that they are optimized for mobile, and the rest of them don't. So let me show you what that looks like. You look at this layout. If we go to change or select a layout, you can see the top group, it says mobile optimized layouts, and the others say standard. So you would always want to choose from this top group there. Let's see. We also had a question about exactly what reports are. Within MemberNation itself, when you're working in MemberNation, once you've been onboarded, you would have a list of all of your contacts that would be uploaded there and would be automatically updated virtually real time as new members join your society, as new individuals in your area become candidates in the CFA program. Basically, you would have all of your data that replicates the information that you currently have within the society portal. You would have all of those contacts would be available to you. So what you can do is you can actually create reports to pull specific subsets of your members. So this is just an example of some of the different reports that are available here. And a lot of these, again, replicate the reporting that's available in the Society Center. So you can target those same target groups But if there are specific other, if there are other specific groups that you would like to have pulled into a specific report so that you can communicate with those individuals, then we would welcome that feedback so that we can help you create the reports that will be useful for you in your marketing communications.
Megan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Valerie from France in Luxembourg.
Hi.
So we can't create so I guess reports actually means contacts.
Yes, it's almost like a query. I would say it's kind of a query that pulls a subset of, of your contacts.
Right. So I cannot create a contacts list myself. I have to go through you.
No, you would have the ability to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody would have the ability to just click create new report.
Right.
And then define the parameters. And again, like I said, we're going to be putting together a specific reports training material and reports training calls. So that will help with some of this as well. The trickiest part with creating your reports is pulling in the report type that's going to have the type of information that you need. But usually you'll want to work with this contacts and accounts report type. And then once you have selected your report type, you can determine which fields you want to include, which query criteria you want to include there as well.
Can I upload an Excel list?
Let's see. You would not be able to manually upload a list, but during the onboarding process, what we do, so if a society has local only members, for example, then we would work with that society to pull a list of those local only members, and we would upload them on behalf of the society. So all of their local members are in place there.
But what if local members keep on registering along the year? Like I start with 10 and now I have 57.
Yeah. So
I update my list every time I do a send.
Mm-hmm. So what you can do with that is you can do one of two different things. If you're having, eventually, since the purpose of the MemberNation platform there is to be the full contact list for societies, as you have individuals joining, you can add contacts individually. Or if you have like a bunch that join at one time, then what we can do for you is, again, we can get an updated list from you, and we can upload new individuals on your behalf as well. So it doesn't have to be just a one-time feed there. If so if you get 50 new members at once, obviously you don't want to have to manually update 50 contact records. So we can manually add those for you.
Right, but how long does it take? I'll send you the list. Because I do my updates on my list every time I send a new event invitation, which is twice a week. So I'm not going to ask you twice a week to update my local list.
So, yeah, and this may be something that we can take offline. It might be easier to take a look at that way.
Okay.
But basically, it depends on, if you're getting 50 new members every single week, then obviously that, is going to be a little bit more time consuming. But, anytime you've run a report, if you basically refresh that report, it's going to go back through all of your contacts and we'll pull in anybody else who meets those criteria. So, but again, let's take this one offline just because I think it might be more helpful to walk through it in more detail that way if you'd like.
Sure.
I can reach out to you after our call. Let's see.
Me again, I had another question on the chat about the structure, because you showed us the marketing cloud in which we could have a structure for like files, like events, emails, newsletters, campaigns, this kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But then it doesn't replicate in MemberNation interface, apparently. Right. So when I go into my email sends, like you showed us, I would see all of the emails. Or
Well,
could I actually see the architecture I created?
you do have the ability to create new views. So I guess it would depend on exactly how you're wanting to structure them. So if so, I guess depending on so let me show you what this looks like. It make more sense. So you can see these are the different fields that you can filter on. So if you want to create a view that has I'm trying to think of an example. So if you wanted to have email, a view that showed just the emails that came out from one particular email address, you could do that. Or, you can, well, like I said, you can see all of the different criteria that you can use to filter.
Right.
And then you can also select different fields to display. So that would be one way that you could sort of structure. You could structure your messages and then once you had created a view, you could just choose which view you wanted to look at. So that might be an option. But if it
Right.
looks like there are fields that you're wanting to base your filter on that are not included there, then that would be something that we could explore, a different way to kind of structure that for you.
Well, my question is that if you change your tab and go back to Email Marketing Cloud, which is the one we started with, on the left we had a proper architecture like a Windows Navigator or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see on the left. So I would have
Yeah.
my emails below. I could have events, newsletters, candidates campaigns, members campaigns, anything, right? When this is finally integrated into MemberNation, which in your tab is actually Salesforce, will that be kept?
That is a good question. I'll make note of that and see what I can find out, because I don't think we know yet exactly what it's going to look like once it's integrated. But I will look into that and see what I can find out for you.
Because after 6 years, if you're looking for an email that you've done 3 years ago, going through every single email, whereas you can have, I mean, if I create folders there on the email marketing cloud interface, then I want to find them elsewhere. I want it to be able to be found elsewhere. Like if I look for that particular email, I know it would be candidates campaigns FY15.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I will, like I said, I'll investigate that and see what we can figure out
okay.
as far as what that integration will look like, um, and whether you would be able to basically provide that folder structure there.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So I'm sorry. So when we're onboarding MemberNation events management, we'll get the tab on your screen, the one in the middle. And if we onboard for email marketing, we'll also have the Marketing Cloud little tab, but then that will send us to the other interface. So we need to have both open like you're having at the moment.
For right now, you would need to have both open, because right now, until we get the integration ironed out, you would actually create your messages within this Marketing Cloud interface here, and then you would do your sending from the MemberNation platform itself, which is this one. But like I said, hopefully in the relatively near future, then we'll be able to integrate those so that you'd be able to access everything from the MemberNation interface itself here.
Relatively near future means
I don't know. I don't know an exact time frame, but
okay.
it's something that we're actively working on. So
In our lifetime.
yes.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions anybody has? Let me unmute to make sure. Let me unmute everyone just in case. All right. Any other questions? All right. Okay. It sounds like we don't have any more questions. Again, if you do have questions that you would like to email to us, you just need to send them to societytech@cfainstitute.org, and we will look into those for you. I'll also look into these questions for you, Val. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining in and participating today. And we look forward to speaking to you next month.